My ex-wife learned the hard way to not ignore a court summons. Part 2. Background. V is traveling to New Hampshire to live with her then primary boyfriend, now husband #5, at this juncture in the drama, having lost the custody fight. To this day, it amuses me that he has the same first name as the FB lover from CA stated in my first article. When I speak about them, I always refer to them as Paul-1 and Paul-2. Yes, I'm easily entertained. The occurrence. V and I had an email exchange about a month after the custody hearing at which I was granted full physical custody of Rebecca, in which we agreed that I would go to her apartment and take Rebecca's captain's bed and some of Rebecca's belongings the day before movers arrived to pack up Voldmore's stuff. She was going 75 miles away to central New Hampshire, having burnt down almost every bridge in the region. Sam, who drives a truck, thankfully volunteered to come along and assist as well as be a witness. So we arrive at 7:20 p.m. and knock on the door. V unlocks the door after a slight delay, her iPhone clamped to her ear. She mumbles something sullenly about her things being upstairs, and then walks off to her second-floor bedroom, weaving and saying something that made me pause and consider. I wasn't sure what it was, but I remember thinking, I really can't walk in here without a witness. I poke my head out the door. Come on, Sam. You must accompany me inside the room, so we enter. Oh my God. It's a hint. It's not dirty, but it's really cluttered. V has vanished into her chamber, complete with shutting the door, so I have to walk a little to locate Rebecca's room. Not only is she in the midst of packing, but there is trash everywhere. Dust, cobwebs, tracked in filth, dirty dishes, empty wine boxes, and dried dog food were all strewn around and stomped on. I could tell it was a great location. A large open living space with a balcony above it, as well as beautiful woodwork, exposed beams, and inset shelving in the walls. On the hearth, an ancient wood stove is glowing. There's a lot of promise here, but it's still a tip. So Sam and I begin collecting Rebecca's belongings and transporting some of them to the vehicle. I realize we'll need an Allen wrench to disassemble the bed, so I walk out to the vehicle and come back in. She had returned to the living area during the gap in action, but as we mounted the stairs, she walked immediately back into her bedroom, phone still plastered to her ear. It takes some time, but we've eventually dismantled the bed and relocated the most of Rebecca's belongings to the front yard. Without discussing anything, it's evident that Sam and I both agreed to move the items on the front lawn and worry about loading the cars when we're totally out of the home. It's at this moment that things start to become strange. Sam is on the second-to-last load when V appears from her bedroom door, looks out from the balcony, and asks, "Why are you moving items out of my house?" Sam walks out of the home, dropping what he's holding. He was immediately aware of what was going on. "You agreed through email that we would take Rebecca's bed tonight," I add as I exit Rebecca's room, and V plainly didn't notice I was still there. "Is that Rebecca's stuff?" she asks, surprised. "Naturally, it is. You said that her belongings were in her room." "Fine." She returns to her bedroom. I walk outdoors with what I'm holding. As Sam puts it, "That's not right, dude. We must contact the cops." "You are completely correct." I could tell Sam was expecting me to resist, and he did a double take when he realized he wouldn't have to persuade me. "You're on a recorded line. Crowesville Police Department. My name is Jack Crowa, and I reside at 321 Main Street in Crowesville." While I'm on the phone with the cops, I see V approaching the door, opening it, and growing irritated when she learns I'm on the phone with the cops. By the time I complete my explanation, she has slammed the door and is pacing around the living room, yelling into her phone. I'm at my ex-apartment, wife's getting some of my daughter's belongings as we agreed via email, and as I'm getting the last of the stuff out of the house, she suddenly asks, "Why are you taking stuff out of my house?" So in order to protect all parties, I'm asking that a police officer come by to verify with Ms. Crowa that she agreed to this and that she is fine with what we have removed from the house. An officer will be there shortly. Mr. Crowam is standing next to me, shaking his head, while I wait for the cop to come, resting casually on the front of Sam's vehicle. I'm going to phone Marie and inform her of the situation. Around this time, V slams open the front door, saying something about not having acquired all of Rebecca's belongings, and proceeds to drop another wash basket stacked full with clothing and other things on the front step before disappearing back inside. Pop goes the weasel. I begin to whistle. The majority of the items we moved are still on the front yard. We'll leave it at that. The cop comes after approximately 5 minutes. I approach him cautiously, arm outstretched to shake his hand as he comes out of the police SUV. "Good evening, officer. My name is Jack Crowa." "Good evening, Mr. Crowa and Ollie Johnson." We exchange handshakes. I give him a quick summary of the problem, and he says I was correct to contact him and that he'll go talk with V. He's up there for roughly 2 minutes before descending. "You're ready to leave." We had a quick conversation with him, apologizing for having to engage him, and he responds, "No, you made the correct decision. If a lady in Massachusetts says anything negative about you while you have something hanging between your legs, you're in big trouble." After that, I grew to like him a lot. We begin loading the remainder of the items, and he inquires, "How much more is there in the house?" "Nothing. Everything is out here, except for that final wash basket on the porch that Ms. Crowa took out while we waited for you." "That's great. I can't stay up all night. If you're ready, I'll take off." "Wait, what's that? What exactly is it?" "I thought I spotted a phone in there." He focuses his spotlight on the front porch laundry basket. I approach the basket. On top of that, there's an iPhone. When I take it up, it resembles Rebecca's old iPhone 4. It's an old phone from my daughter. "I'll just take it with us." I bring the basket to my vehicle and place it in the rear seat. It rings just as I'm about to walk away. Incoming call from V's home phone. It's V's phone, I realize. I take it and answer it. "Hello." Click. I take a glance at the front. On the lock screen, there's a text from Paul#2 asking, "Is he gone yet?" That's right, it's her phone. I was mistaken, officer. Ms. Crowa's phone is ringing. "Could you please return it to her?" He takes it from me, hands it back to V at the front entrance, and goes down to us. "Okay, you're still fine to go. I'm leaving right now. If you could, come back in 15 to 20 minutes. If we're still here, you may want to drive in and check on us." "That's great. Take care, you too." V jumps out of the front door again, phone clamped to her ear. Not 5 minutes after he drives away, and while we're still loading items. "Does the officer remain?" "No." "Bring him back." "Why?" "I'd want to have him back, obtain him." And she goes back inside. I'm tempted to tell her, "If you want the officer back, you call for him." But that tiny voice in my brain says, "You call." So I contact Crowsville's finest again and ask Officer Johnson to return to the location. Sam and I take our places at the front of the vehicle once again. That's why I didn't want Rebecca to come here tonight. Nice call. Officer Johnson comes a few minutes later. "Hello, Officer Johnson. It's been a long time since we've seen one other." He gives me a kind smile. "She just came out the front door shortly after you departed, requesting that the cops be called. I'm going to see what she wants." He walks over to V and offers her her phone. He speaks for a few minutes, hangs up the phone, speaks with V for another 20 seconds, and then returns to us. I stare at him, puzzled. "No need to worry, gentlemen, you're still fine to go. But I'm going to remain until you're finished." I continue to raise my brow at him. "She wanted to accuse you of attempting to steal her phone, but I reminded her that I was the one who saw it in the basket you hadn't yet touched, and you were the one who asked me to return it to her. Her partner asked whether you could be forced to wait until Sunday, but I told him, no, they got 3 more items to load before they go. Just finish up, boys. We're all eager to return home to where it's warm." We finished up, shook hands, and exited the building.